All right.
Good morning, Crypto Warriors, and welcome back to Gem in the Crypto, episode 554. We have an amazing show for you today. I'm King.
And I'm Bitcoin Zay, and we are here to bridge the gap between cryptocurrency and the community Monday through Friday at 10-ish.
And today's special guest is none other than John McAfee.
Toast to you, John. Yes. Toast to you, brother. Oh, yeah.
Hey, fuck me. I love your mugs, all right? I can't even afford a goddamn mug. I got to drink out of the bottle, all right?
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
It's not too late to run for president still, John.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, let's roll into it.
Oh, yeah. So let's roll into it. A lot of people may not have heard of you, John. So give us a little bit about your background, what got you started, and how you got to the point you are now.
Like specifically, how did you get into writing software? Like, how did you start to code?
You know what? That's a funny story. Okay, so I've always been a lazy motherfucker. And in college, I thought I wanted to, I've always been fascinated by science. I thought I wanted to be a physicist. But then as I looked at the physics program, I realized that I had to take as much math to get a physics degree, plus a shitload of other courses to get just a math degree. And I go, well, fuck that, because math always came easy to me. So I skated through. Listen, I never went to class or anything. I have a mathematical brain. Got straight A's. I got a graduate assistantship at Louisiana State University in grad school, which I fucked up royally because I am lazy, and I had a student who sat on the front row. Her name was Frances. Never forget the name because I later married her out of a fit of insanity. In any case, I don't know. I've had an affair with her. She got pregnant. This was back in the time. This is 1969. People going on. You did not touch one of your students if you were in college. I mean, fuck me. End of story. So anyway, I got thrown out. Pissed around in other graduate schools. But while I was back up to Virginia, I got a summer job with General Electric, which at the time was the only practical application of digital technology, and that was process automation. They had these GPAC, they call them, GEPAC, process automation computers. Didn't have a keyboard, no monitor. We didn't have monitors and keyboards back in '69, people. All of you who fantasized that in the Wild West, in between gunfights, people are tweeting, and that just didn't fucking happen. So we didn't have monitors and keyboards. So programming was switching machine buttons on the front panel. And when you got it right, press enter, and that was in real time downloaded into the core memory. Why was it called core? Because it was made out of tiny little magnetic donut-looking devices with two wires crossing through them to put it on or off, right? It's a wild world, and those computers filled an entire office building and had less power than a flip phone does today. This is the facts of life. But anyway, so I cut my teeth. Well, I fell in love. I mean, it was right down my alley. Why? Goddamn, I'm switching switches on the front panel in binary. I'm a goddamn math major. This is like, I can fantasize about what I'm going to do to that blonde woman with the big butt on my date tonight and not even think about it and still make no errors. So I cheated a lot, and just because I was a math person. Anyway, from there, well, I mean, I became a bit of a sensation. I was, while at General Electric, I automated for the first time a steel mill. It was Australia Iron and Steel rolling mill in Port Kembla, New South Wales. And that's some serious high-tech shit. But for me, again, it became second nature. I got a job offer from NASA, the institute, at their Institute for Space Studies in Manhattan. I thought, goddamn, New York. Well, you bet. This is 1969. Pardon?
What year was this?
We're in 1970 now, I think. The things happened fast back then. Keep in mind, this was the age of Aquarius, right? LSD and mind-altering substances and weed and hashish and opium and heroin and you fucking name it, was everywhere, especially if you were in San Francisco, anywhere near Haight-Ashbury. which is if you just pass by that corner, you got high on something. So yeah, that was the age. So yeah, 1970, went to the Institute for Space. I was in New York and landed a really cushy job of working on my first IBM computer. And by then, the world had graduated from throwing switches on the front panel to punching cards with actual machine instructions on them. Think about it. Well, I can load this thing 1,000 times. I don't have to spend half a day loading my fucking program in binary. That's how primitive it was. Yeah. So in any case, from NASA, I learned a great deal. Higher level language. Oh, first of all, assembler language came up then. The first time anybody had written a program where you could write something like, I want to branch, like BRU, branch unconditionally to this location, and write the fucker down rather than those switches. Well, god damn, is that an improvement? And then punch cards came along where you could just feed these cards to the computer, and you could load your program in 5 minutes instead of 5 hours. That was an improvement. We didn't see keyboards until early 1980, believe it or not.
Ooh,
Wow.
you did the whole thing before.
Wow,
10, 12 years.
I'm so yes. Listen, 1980 people. I'm 35 years old. All right, born in 1945. So I'm 35 by then. I'm an old man almost, and I've seen everything. And suddenly you've got monitors and keyboards. And 1986, 1985, actually, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak came up with the idea of the mouse, but they didn't. They actually stole it from Stanford, who actually came up with the idea.
Yeah.
What's that?
The hot take.
Oh yeah, a lot of our viewers don't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's fine, but he did. It's who cared back then? It was like, what is a stupid device? What are you going to point at, right? We didn't have enough experience with interfacing with Jesus. If I had said to someone back then, listen, I tell you what, in 40 years, we're going to be sitting down in front of this monitor, which, by the way, only has character on it, and it jiggles, right? And it's green, everything. We're going to sit down and be able to look at someone 1,000 miles away and talk to them and see them. They would have gone, dude, lay off the mushrooms, okay? Too many fucking mushrooms, or I don't know, maybe stop doing H entirely. So I don't know. They would look at me like I was insane. And
So you're programming at this time basically for NASA, and what, do you start seeing vulnerabilities, and that's what took you into the cybersecurity route, or?
Well, yeah, okay, well, hang on. I'm at NASA. Now, listen. So I worked on data reduction. I can tell you now. Can I tell you? Yeah, fuck yes, I can tell you now.
Tell us, man.
It's been almost 50 years, yes. So I worked on the TIROS, TIROS, weather satellite reduction system. Now, TIROS was the world's first weather satellite, and it had been beaming back analog shit at Earth for 2 goddamn years, every fraction of a second, showing cloud covers, whatever. This is the age, people, before we had even floppy disks. There was no place to store this goddamn information except on reels of tape. Now you tell me, when you've got 300,000 miles of tape, which reads at a few inches per second, how are you going to reduce that data into a form that can be processed on a computer with a maximum memory capacity of 1/4 of a megabyte?
Wow.
And that's for the monster computers back then.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my job. I figured it out. Yeah, I can't tell you how I figured it out. I would be whacked probably. The entire country I'm in would be nuked, I think. So nevertheless,
I believe you too.
I figured it out. Why? I would be looked at like a fucking failure and an idiot if I did not, because they hired me specifically because I said I could do it. So I didn't have a clue how. I really didn't. But I did it.
Nice.
And processed the world's. Now, You understand, back then, this is 1971. We're in the middle of the goddamn Cold War. And that country that can predict weather faster than,
Oh yeah, for war, yeah.
better than,
Yeah.
and with more precision than your enemy, you're going to win a war because your general's going to be back to, nah, let's wait until the big ass storm hits them here. They'll be dealing with 90-mile-an-hour winds and won't notice our missiles coming in.
I
Whatever.
was in the military, so we use those guys whenever we're doing airstrikes. So you know about sandstorms, weather patterns.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, duh, absolutely. So now, what's their biggest fear? The Russians are going to get access to this data, this 250,000 miles of taped analog data. And then we're lost. So I'm in the middle of this storm. I'm the dude that knows how to reduce it and has started the reduction process. You know what data reduction is? You've got 250,000 miles of tape. How much is actually useful? What part's useful? How useful? And what So you want to get little snapshots here and there and see what you can do. In any case, that really started the weather prediction and later on control through silver nitrate and other things, the control of weather in America, which has given America such a great lead over its opponents. For most of the time, it was Russia. Now it's China, Korea, almost everybody. People, you realize how hated we are, Americans. Overseas.
Yeah. So
I can imagine.
You started looking to protect this data, I'm assuming, right?
Well, I had to. That was my next job. Okay, great. You've done a fine job. Now, if the Russians get it, we're going to cut your balls off and sew them to your tip of your nose or something. And it wasn't said. It was goddamn clear. Bad shit would happen if the Russians got told. Well, fuck me. Okay. I don't know. That sounds like a fine problem. So I had, to my knowledge, the world's first computer security system installed at the NASA Institute for Space Studies in New York City at Upper 118th, I believe was the street. I had to take the Lexington Avenue Express, change in Times Square, whatever. Yes, nice. Absolutely. I think it was the world's first. And because of that, I then understood, listen, if at this point in computing, and I could see the shit that was coming down the pike because everything was just exploding in memory and in offline storage and communications. Every fucking area was exploding. Some big shit's coming down the pike. And data is going to be the most powerful of all things.
Yes, yeah.
And those that can control it, disseminate it, and most of all, protect it. Protect it, meaning protect it from modification and from access. The first is the worst. What if we could get into these news stories and modify them at fucking will? New York Times reports the death of whoever. Fuck me. Total chaos, right? So protecting data is the number one, because if it's not protected, it doesn't fucking matter what else happens.
So listening to you, excuse me.
I'm finished.
Oh no, so listening to your background, when we talk about Bitcoin, blockchain, cryptocurrency, what are some of the things you think someone needs to know already or need to learn so they can be successful in this industry?
Well, it depends on what you want to do, people. Most people are using cryptocurrencies as a means to get rich quick.
Yeah.
I hate to disillusion any of you young folks, but there is no such thing as a get rich quick scheme. One might get rich quickly, but the world takes away from fools far faster.
The SEC is showing everyone that right now.
I'm telling you now.
Always
hasn't shown me. I've had my battles with them for years, so we'll get into that someday if you like. But in any case, it's being used for the wrong thing. I mean, we have privacy coins like Monero We have stable coins like DAI, where it never varies more than 1% from the US dollar and has never varied more than 1%. Well, people are worried, oh my God, the market's volatile. I'm getting out into the dollar. What insanity, get out into the DAI, save yourself some time about onboarding cash. Again, please, people. I live in a community of tens of thousands. When I say live in, I don't mean my next door neighbors. I mean a worldwide movement of people who refuse to use fiat currency for anything. You want to hire, get my services, you better be able to pay me in crypto. I don't give a shit which one, as long as it's got enough volume, I can move it into something else. So, yes, and there's nothing you cannot buy with crypto if you're willing to go on the internet and maybe pay a tiny premium, right? Houses, cars, bulletproof vests, shoes, bulk food. Now, you can't go out, I admit, and go to your local coffee shop and ask for a fucking latte. But buy yourself a latte maker online with crypto and install it and make your own goddamn lattes if it's that important to you.
True.
Please, people, join us. You're using crypto, which is the golden key given to you to unlock your cages of financial slavery, which we are all prone to, and escape. And instead, you're going to scratch your fucking ass going, oh, I want to make some money with this. You might, you might not. Who gives a shit? Whatever. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm finished.
Okay. I was like, on that great note, because we know we don't have you for a long time, Bitcoin Zay has some rapid fire questions from people all over Twitter, YouTube. So short version answers, but we just have to have your thoughts on these.
Oh yeah.
You bet. You bet.
How do you think coronavirus will affect the crypto market?
First of all,
I can't wait to hear this.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we have to, I can't do this in one second. You have to bear with me. I'll give you 5 more minutes, all right?
Ooh.
Is that okay? Whoa, well, 4 more minutes, all right? So now, the coronavirus, if you look at statistics inside Wuhan and the major cities where they're rounding people up and bedding them in open stadiums in open air in the wintertime in northern China, they have a death rate of 2%. 2 out of every 100 die. That's a heavy death rate. Well, God damn it, if you're out there freezing, don't have enough hydration, of course. Look at the death rate outside of the cities. It is 0.16%. What's the death rate from flu type A and B? 0.17%. So it's slightly less deadly than the flu. Please God, this is a false fucking flag if there's ever been one.
We call the same though. We said bird flu, SARS, what happened to Ebola? Like it's a new thing now.
You want the market to drop the virus and then panic.
Yes, drop the well, who knows? Don't you forget the market. Could be everything. Travel industry. What might happen is a crackdown in China of monumental totalitarian proportions, 1984 type shit, where everybody's rounded up. No one's allowed to talk. No one's allowed in. No one's allowed out. Or it may be that this is something, a joint venture with the Americans who really want to implement this shit and say, listen, we'll support your fucking story that the coronavirus is destroying your country if you will support our story, saying we have to also implement the draconian rules of the Chinese. You may not leave your house without permission. You may not talk to anyone without permission. Do you see where this is leading people?
Yeah.
Stop looking at the play. Look at the puppeteers that are managing the play to find out what's going on in life. But listen, I'm a mathematician. You're not going to get numbers by me. When I started looking at the numbers in the rural areas, where that's where they come from anyway, compared to the 2% in cities where they're rounding them up and and making them sleep out in the goddamn cold. Well, of course, you only get a 2% death rate. And even then, it's all old and very young children, like the flu.
Wow.
Nobody dies from the flu unless you're old like me. Or,
I'm
you know,
still questioning if you're actually old, John, but I get what you're
feel
saying.
like you can live forever, John.
fair enough. All right.
Pretty invisible.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And
Next question.
crypto market.
I'm sorry I went so long on that, but it
No, we
needed a
appreciate
serious
it.
answer.
I love your insight. And you think it'll affect the crypto market negatively, or do you think it'll be a positive effect?
It can't possibly be a positive thing. I mean, when the world around us is, people are getting sick on cruise ships. Oh, I'm not going to take a cruise ship. Right? People getting sick on airplanes. I'm not going to travel anywhere. When the sheep get unsettled and frightened, that is the time that the strong man dictator totalitarian government comes into being, people. Now, are you going to sit back idly and allow that? Because the only way you can allow it is by being afraid. Oh, if they're coronavirus, so I've got to obey. No, listen, there is nothing that anybody outside of you can tell you about what's best for you other than you. Good God, how easy
People
can it
find
possibly
it
be?
hard to do. All right, so
I'm sorry, but it's true.
Yep.
All right.
here's one for you. All right, we know how you got everybody the bamboozlement of the Chop 2020, but what are your real thoughts on Bitcoin? Is this the future? Is Bitcoin the one, or is it?
But Bitcoin itself, absolutely not. No, please, people. Bitcoin.
You meant that when you said it's not.
Yeah, it's the whole.
No, absolutely not. And please, Bitcoin. Good God, it showed us the way. That white paper was beautifully put together on a possibility that went far beyond what Bitcoin provided. Bitcoin provided a proof of concept, nothing more. And what a proof of concept. People have made millions and billions. But please God, that's not the purpose. It cannot be the purpose. It's opened a door through which other developers, thinking a little further ahead, created things like privacy coins, smart contracts, distributed applications. Good God, a powerful set of tools, especially privacy, because it doesn't matter how much we control our own destiny financially. If the government can look in and say, oh, I saw you made $161,322.09 last year. You spent the first penny 20 minutes later. No, is that what you want? The government has no right. Nobody has a right into your personal financial life other than you, your family, and those you invite to take a look. I don't know if you've not invited the government. You should uninvite them very quickly.
Right.
This is how we win. Say, get out of my private shit. You don't belong here. Their rationale is, oh, well, bad people. Look, there are bad people in the world. We don't know if you're a bad person.
Criminals go to criminal. You can't stop a criminal.
And if we can't look inside your life, how do we know if you're bad? Do you see the perversion of that attitude? People, please. It's the Hitleresque approach. The SS. Yes, you must open your life to us, because if you have nothing to hide, then you have nothing to fear. Motherfuckers, everybody has something to hide. The question is, from whom? From your wife? From your boss? From your best friend? Because maybe you slept with their sister, or God forbid, their wife, or far worse, their 19-year-old daughter, without asking or saying, and who knows? But I promise you, people, if you think you've got nothing to hide, then question why. If you buy a loaf of bread from a supermarket, and you don't know the checkout clerk, but you're waiting in line, and she smiles, and you go, hey, I fucked my wife's sister last night. I'm really afraid that she might tell my wife. What do you think? No, that would be insane. She would call someone, help. No, that would be crazy. Why? Because we have privacy filters for every relationship in life.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a casual acquaintance you met a few times, you might say, oh yeah, I live in Englewood. You know, I'm an accountant. I work for the Missouri Pacific Railroad. Cool. But even them, you're not going to tell them that you fucked your wife's sister and you're worried. No, that's insane.
Appreciate you, John. Yeah, I was gonna say, love the candid.
So please, every relationship with your good friends, you tell them more. Maybe with your boss, with your wife, and with your wife's sister. That's another one. What do you tell her? We're getting a divorce and I'm falling out of love. No, well, who fucking knows, all right? But if you think you got nothing to hide, then you have never left the closet in your mother's basement. And I suggest you do so quickly.
Oh yeah, appreciate you, John. Yeah, love that candidness, and we agree with you with the privacy factor. One thing I wanted to ask you.
We have time. We have time for one more question, my friends.
One question. This is the last one. So, if you win the presidential election in 2020, what is the first thing you will do?
If I win the presidential election in 2020, first thing I'll do is check myself into a mental hospital because I will know I am hallucinating. Please, people, I'm John McAfee. I have not a rat's chance in hell of being elected president. Why am I running? Because it gives me the opportunity to talk to people like yourselves and whatever other people are listening to what you do, openly and honestly talk to you without limitations on, well, you can't say this, you can't do that. And you only have 3.5 minutes because we have a commercial that has to play. No, none of that shit. A real conversation between three dudes and a black woman who's getting agitated. I think
I know I'm not.
I'm 30 seconds over. She's reaching for the gun. So anyway,
another hour, John. She said you had another hour.
So
try to get them in.
Trying to reel it in. Yeah. So, like I said, we could wrap it up there if that's all for you. If you want.
I think we need to. Listen, she has me on a tight schedule, and I have a lot.